So yes, next up, it looks like we have Adam Major from Zealty Online Search. He runs the website Zealty.ca. Hello, Adam.
Hey, Ryan.
How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. You're also on vacation today, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Revelstoke. If the blinds were open, you could see the gondola in Revelstoke, but the glare was too much. You couldn't see my face. So,
Oh, awesome. Yes. Do you have some slides or anything? I'll let you introduce yourself first, and then you can go on to your presentation.
yeah, I just was going to share my screen and
Okay.
walk through our website.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm Adam. I'm one of the co-founders of Zealty. If you're not familiar with it, Zealty is an online real estate search site. It was the first site in BC to display MLS sold data. So that came about in 2018. There was a fight between the Toronto Real Estate Board and the Competition Bureau, and eventually the Competition Bureau said sold data could be published. So this is realtor real estate sold data. And we were the first ones in BC to do that. But I also am a strata manager. My day job, I have a property management company on the Sunshine Coast. And so part of the data we provide on Zealty is strata specific. So what I was going to do is just walk people through our website, give you the basics on how to use it, show you some of the unique features we have. And then I'll go into some of the strata specifics and then, talk about where we're going in the future.
Awesome. That sounds
Yeah.
great.
All right. So this is Zealty.ca. Basically, it's a free website that has search data. Biggest part of Zealty is probably our map search. So I'm just going to start with that. If you've never been to the site before, you click on map search when you go to Zealty.ca. Oh, I was looking at some stuff downtown here. Hang on a second. So basically looking at an overview of Vancouver here. If you first come to Zealty, the first thing you need to do to get sold data and more of the information we offer is create an account. So you'll just see a login button up here. Enter your email and a password. We won't send you too much spam, but it is free for anybody who wants to use it. If you need any information or if you have questions, we have a user guide here. If you click on that, a user guide pops up. Oh, I see it's stuck on my share this tab. Yeah, so you'll come to a user guide, which will answer any of your questions. So going back to the map search, we have most of our data. I'll just zoom out here, so I'll show you what we've got. So we do have active listings across Canada. These are just real estate listings, same as you could find on Realtor.ca or any other site. But we are realtors and members of the Vancouver Real Estate Board. So if you're looking in Vancouver, we have a lot more information than you can find on Realtor.ca. Those big items are solds. So if you want to see what's sold on the west side in the last week and you want to see what it sold for, you can see that. You can also turn off solds, and if you want to see expired listings, I'm just going to look at expired listings in the last 30 days. There's not very many because things are selling again in Vancouver. But those are listings that have expired in Kitsilano in the last month. I'll turn on the actives again. So what we have that not too many other people have figured out yet is a property grid for all of BC. So this is Point Grey Road. If you click up here in the top left corner and turn on satellite view, you can see this is Chip Wilson's house. That's his property. Outline, there's his swimming pool. When you click on this property, on the right-hand side, you get sort of the address, and you also get the assessment history for the last 10 years for that property. So in City of Vancouver, 10 years of assessment data is available on any property, including strata properties. We also have, if you just click on any property, I'll click on the one next door, and we've got 15 years of MLS data for any property in the Lower Mainland. So you can see that the property next door to Chip's property sold in 2013 for $11.65 million. You can see that the assessed value currently $23 million. Hopefully folks can see that okay. It's maybe a little bit small on your screens. So one of the other features we've got, because we use Google Maps interface, if you're looking for property for sale and you want to check out the neighborhood, Google Street View. So I can see I'm just going to put this guy, I'm going to go back and look at this active listing. So here's West 3rd Avenue. I know there's a house for sale here. Oh, it's this one right here where the little red dot is. So this is 3066 West 3rd. You can walk around, check out the neighborhood without actually having to go and drive down the street. You can click on the listing. Some information will appear on the sidebar, but if you click on that, another window will pop up and you'll get all the detailed information on this property. So you can see it's for sale for $3.499 million. You can also scroll down here. The assessed value is $2.6 million. So you can see that the asking price to assessed value ratio is 134%. So it's priced at 34% above assessed value. More information, one thing I'll just show you that we do on Zealty is we also have full screen pictures of the house. So this house looks kind of basic from the outside, but if you scroll down, it's got some colorful paint on the interior and a pink kitchen. So if there's any realtors on the call, if you're ever posting your pictures on Paragon, which is the back end of MLS, it's always good to post high definition pictures because then they show up as full screen images on our site and some other sites. And if you want more, that's details, more information on this property. Here's the MLS history of this property going back to 2003. So you can see February of this year, it was listed for $3.5 million basically. 2003, it sold for $720,000. It sold in 2013, 1.5. So in 10 years, it doubled, and it looks like in the last 10 years, it's more than doubled again. All right, I'm going to close this window. So yeah, this is going out, showing the property grid again. moving around the province, you have a little button in the corner. I'm going to show Seashell because that's where my office is. And one of the cool features about this mapping program is it actually also works on your iPhone. So this is downtown Seashell. And if you turn on satellite view, I'm going to turn off active listings for now. What you've got here is essentially the property grid for the province overlaid with an aerial view of all of BC. And if you're ever walking with an iPhone or a smartphone that has a locator, it'll show your PIN and your location on your phone. So these are actually strata properties that our company manages. And we had a complaint from the city that this strata, which is one of our clients, had a homeless encampment on it. And the bylaw officer from the district of Seashell wanted to meet there to confirm whether this homeless encampment was on a property that we managed, and in which case we were somewhat responsible for taking some action to prevent them from being on the property, including potentially fencing the undeveloped portion of this property. So what we're able to do with on Zealty, if you just go on your iPhone, I was walking along this path, and this was the homeless encampment in question. And I was able to tell that it wasn't actually on our property because I was walking here, could see this little trail, and my phone was showing my location here and not on the property we managed. So if you're ever out and you're not sure where a property boundary is, our website will let you do it. It's free to use. I don't think there's any other site available that will show you in real-time location where you are on Google Maps and where you are in relation to a property boundary. So, places like West Vancouver, where you've got, just look at Caulfield here, and zooming in. Yeah, one little trick about Zealty is when you're in, you zoom in Vancouver, it switches to bird's eye views. This is kind of this odd angled aerial view. But if you click this tilt map button on the side, it'll resort to an overhead view. So if you're, looking at this, purchasing this property, let's just find one that's for sale. Like here's a interesting property on Vista Place, it looks like. $4.5 million house in West Vancouver. But if you're curious what the property line looks like, here you are able to look at it. If you have this on your phone, you can essentially walk and there'll be a little blue dot that'll show you where you are in relation to the boundary for that property. I'm just going to show you a couple more features about this, and then I'll move on to some other stuff. I'm just going to zoom right out. So one cool feature we have is the agricultural land reserve for all of BC. So if you turn this on, and you can see all these little green areas that have popped up. So I'm just going to zoom in and look at Richmond, because Richmond is an area that has quite a bit of ALR still. And you can see the shaded green area is in the agricultural land reserve. And here you can see looks like a fairly large property for sale in the ALR for about $17 million. And one of the advantages to buying a large house in the ALR, if it's already built, now there's restrictions on building these mega mansions. So, properties like this one, I can see this is a 22,000 square foot house in Richmond. These can't be built anymore. And there's also some tax advantage because you're living on 5 acres and part of that property is taxed at an agricultural rate. So information that's interesting to have if you're a potential buyer. And of course, one of the big things is just looking at what other properties are selling for in any of these neighborhoods. And what you can do on Zealty at any time is you can turn on what's sold. Let's look at what's sold in the last 3 months. Not a lot selling. Some of these blue dots here, you can see these are strata properties. So there have been some sales. But if you zoom in on the map, you can click on any of these properties and see what the actual selling price was. Over here on the right, if you click on the actual sold and then click on the property again, you'll get another window that pops up and shows you, what the asking price was, what the price sold for was. So this property listed for $699, sold for $686. It was on the market for quite a while, 145 days, but still shows you that things are selling to relatively close to the asking price in Richmond. I think that's enough for the map search. I'm going to move on to show you a couple other things we do on Zealty. So back at the home screen again. So you come to Zealty, we've got the map search. We've also got the list search. So if you click on this, this has my sort of most recent search criteria saved. Like any real estate search site, you can set the criteria. I'm going to look at apartments. So we're looking at apartments for sale, City of Vancouver. I'm going to go for a max of $2 million. And one of the cool things we have is when you sort sold or asking prices, you can sort them by a whole bunch of categories. And one that I'd like to look at is what is the asking price to the assessment price? So the ask to assessed ratio. You can sort, these are currently sorted by image, but you can sort these properties over here by clicking this button to a list search. And for the City of Vancouver, these are the apartments under $2 million that have the lowest asking price to the assessed value. So this property on 5058 Joyce is priced at 73% of its assessed value. So 27% below assessed value. Seems like a pretty good deal. Again, there's another one here on Cook Street. This is False Creek, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Again, 74% of assessed value. So if you want more information on this property, you click the R number here. That's the MLS number. A new window pops open. And here's this building. So this is 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Asking price is 1.8, but the assessed value is 2.4. Another little cool search thing we have, I'm just going to zoom out. And this is probably the only place where you can easily find this information in terms of, an online search site, and that is foreclosure properties. So what I just did there was at the top of our map, search filters, and if you click on must be court ordered sale and done, you can see I've only got listings in the Lower Mainland. So these are essentially listings that are part of the Real Estate Board of Vancouver, Fraser Valley Board, or the Chilliwack Board. I'll close this little side window. Let me try that again. Sorry, folks. All right. So yes, zooming in. So I can see that there's 73 properties in view. So in all of the Lower Mainland, there's only 73 foreclosures currently listed for sale. But if you're interested in foreclosure properties as an investment, I don't know that there's any good deals to be had anywhere currently, but these are the foreclosures. There's a $20 million foreclosure in Shaughnessy. They just reduced the price by 16.5%. It's still priced 6% above assessed value, though. Interesting. So basically, a lot of information on our site. I think probably I'm moving through that a little bit quickly for people to follow too easily, but it's free to use. I think you can go on the map, play with it, get used to it. I think it does take a bit of getting used to because it is data heavy, but I do think people who are used to it love it. And if you want to do the research yourself and get the data, I think it's very good in that regard. I will just go back here. Hang on one second, Ryan. I'm just going to do
one more thing.
Yeah. We also have cool statistics, daily statistics. We also have statistics tables. So if you want to see what has sold in the last month in a certain neighborhood, if you click on a statistics table here, oh, no, that's not the one I wanted. I'm going to go to this one. No, I'm going to go to this. Sales reports. All right. So this is a sales report. So if you want to see what has sold in Southwest Marine in Vancouver in the month of March, how many properties have sold, these tables are actually fully active links. So in Kerrisdale, we're looking at the month of March. These are detached houses. I want to see what is sold. Click on this little button. There's the two houses that sold in Kerrisdale last month. That's what they sold for. If you click on these links, you can see what they sold for in relation to their assessment price, etc. So I'm going to go back to the main page. And the other thing we have, and the other thing that the reason I'm here is our Strata browser. So basically clicking on the Strata browser link takes you to all the areas in the Lower Mainland for which we have Strata properties. I'm going to look at Vancouver West. I'm going to go down and I'm going to look at Shangri-La. So this is a page of information about Shangri-La Strata Corporation. I can see the strata number. I can see the management company is. see when it was built, number of units.
We can't seem to see it on the screen there.
Oh, sorry.
You just see the list of the. There we go.
There. Sorry. Yep. So yeah, this is Shangri-La. So it gives you the management company's name, their phone number, also a summary of their bylaws. So how we do this is basically scraping data from Paragon. So if you're a realtor, again, it's very important that you upload the correct information, because what the maintenance fees include, what the amenities are in the building. That's where we get it from, is essentially scraping it from listing information. We also have the assessed value for all of the units in the building. So if you're a strata owner and you want to know whether your unit is assessed fairly relative to your neighbors, go to the strata browser, go to your strata, and you should be able to compare easily, rather than doing it on BC Assessment, the assessed value for all the units in the building. Scroll down past this, you can see units for sale. Then you can also look at units that sold in the last 3 years. One of the other cool things we have is the maintenance fee per square foot of the strata. So I think if you're a strata manager or you're a strata owner and you're curious about how your building's fees compare to neighboring properties, easy way to look at it is the maintenance fee per square foot. So in Zealty, you can find that. Another thing you can do is, I'm looking at 3 years of solds in Shangri-La. And I can see that going back, the maintenance fee at one point was 93 cents a square foot. And then over here, it's $1.12 a square foot. So definitely the maintenance fees have gone up substantially, now $1.19 per square foot. And maintenance fees per square foot should be the same for all units because it's done on unit entitlement. So everybody should be paying the same per square foot rate. So that's a good way to, compare. Shangri-La, probably some of the most expensive maintenance fees per square foot out there because it's expensive building with a lot of amenities. I think going forward, where we are an open data provider and believer in open data. We would love to get more information on strata properties for potential purchasers to easily compare. Going back up to the top here, it would be great. I was listening to Sean talk previously about some of the data they have. I think it's, if you could have a way to rate strata corporations or, find out how your contingency fund looks compared to your depreciation report, a way for purchasers to easily get that information. We would be open to displaying it in a way for buyers, to get for free. Right now, strata corporations are in a way a bit of a box in that it's hard to know. And even this data that we have on strata corporations, you need to verify it, obviously, because we are getting it from listings in the property. And, things can change and you don't necessarily know unless you've got the latest, strata information. So if there's a new pet bylaw in Shangri-La that got voted in yesterday, we don't know it and we don't have it on here. But I think for investors, purchasers, if you want to get a summary of a property, this table is a good place to do that. Yeah, other cool things about this. I mean, you can even, on these listings for Strata Properties, I'm going to go past all the assesseds. You can look at these buildings and see, like, here's a current listing in Shangri-La. I'm just going to scroll down and, you can look at the assessed value in these buildings and see how they relate to other properties in Vancouver, in the Lower Mainland. I mean, Shangri-La, you can see the assessed value is actually the same as it was in 2019. So according to BC Assessment, this property hasn't gone up in value in 4 years. If you know something about Shangri-La, there's been some news. It was a part of a class action lawsuit because of the windows exploding and potentially falling on people walking on the sidewalk. But that's just something, if you see a building where the strata fees are going up significantly, you might want to ask yourself, why is that? And in Shangri-La, you can see that the fees have been going up upwards of 10% a year for the last 3 years. And, maybe that's part of the reason why. So going back to where we sort of see our site going in the future, one of the things that we've done recently is we've partnered with a company called bchome.ai. So on my Zealty page, I have what we're calling here a Zealty assessment, which is powered by bchome.ai. So what we are doing is we now have a market price for every property in the province, whether it's a strata or a detached home. We haven't released this publicly yet. It is going to be coming out soon. And basically using comparable sales as they happen, reported by the real estate boards every month, comparing assessed values and how other properties and neighborhoods are selling vis-a-vis assessed values, and then providing a market price for that property. So this is a property for sale close to Shaughnessy, listed for 14.8 million. We have market price at 12.25. And the assessed value of the property is 12.247. So in our opinion, it's priced a little bit high. So basically what we would like to do is keep adding data to our site. Right now, most of the information we have for sold prices, expired listings is just in the Lower Mainland because we are realtors and members of that real estate board. But ultimately, we'd like to expand that information across the province so we can include other strata properties. And yeah, keep giving free data for people, buyers, homeowners, to make it easily accessible to find out stuff that's important to find. I'll just show you here. So if you're on our site and you want to find on a map the information page, you can go to the Strata browser, or you can click on a property and then you just click on this little building icon and then a new tab opens up. And here's the residences on Georgia. Here's a summary of their bylaws, their amenities, units currently for sale, units that sold in the last 6 months. And then in a few seconds, you're going to see a page pop up with all the assessments for all the properties in that building. Yeah, I think that's it for me, Ryan.
Awesome. I mean, it's loaded with features. I actually have used it for about 4 years now, and it's been super helpful. I'm constantly looking and considering, upgrading and moving different places, right? And as I grow my family, we've been looking around the province, especially at those cheaper areas to see, what we could afford. And I really like, the layout of ZLT compared to some of the other realtor websites, right? They don't offer as much data, or they don't offer it in the same layout that you guys provide it. And I learned about maybe 35% more new features today in what you showed that I didn't know about earlier. So that's really going to help, right? Like before, it would have really helped me during my research times. Try and figure out more strata comparables, for example. So for me, I actually am constantly monitoring my own building. As like I said, I've been trying to think about upgrading. So that's where it comes in handy for myself, is just seeing, what are the other units doing? How long are they on the market? And how's the overall sales, right? So I can get that quickly from ZLT, and I can compare it to the other buildings surrounding me, or just anywhere else I can look up and do my research, right? And looking up specific stratas. I knew of that feature before. That was pretty cool. So yeah, it's really loaded in for me. I found it quite valuable as just a consumer, right? Trying to go shopping for real estate, right?
Yeah.
And it's useful again as a strata owner, just to do research on comparing against the other buildings. Like, we don't do very much maintenance in my building, so how is that affecting us compared to the others similar sized, right? And I can look at the other buildings and see what they're selling for.
Yeah, I think as wearing my strata manager's hat,
Yeah.
you always want your stratas that you manage to be well funded. You want them
Yes.
to, I mean, as a strata manager, you don't like special levies, because when you have to have a special levy, you have to collect it, right? I mean,
Yeah,
owners
it's
don't like it,
tough.
but it's also tough if you're the strata manager who has to foreclose on an owner potentially who can't afford to pay
Yes.
a levy, right? So I think it would be great if there was publicly a way to, for stratas maybe to sign
Hmm.
up to say, hey, look at our financials. We're fully
Yes.
funded. This is our depreciation report. I mean, I think stratas that are, well funded and that are doing their maintenance, they do promote that in their minutes.
Hmm.
But, as a buyer, the public doesn't necessarily know it until they get to the point where they've made an offer on a property, and then
Yes.
they get the strata documents. So I don't know if it's possible, Privacy Act, other,
Yeah, maybe regulation or something you're
yeah,
thinking to
it
come
might
in
be
and
tricky, but I mean, one thing I've thought about is, oh, can we give every building a score? and
yeah,
but that's, I mean, potentially
it's tough to
problematic.
control. Yeah,
Yes,
right.
but
Yeah.
hearing some of the other presenters, I think have some of that information, right? They have specific
Hmm.
building information. Would there be a time? I think there will be a time, in the future, where that data is open and available to people. Um, I think it's, for consumers, it is good because it's
Hmm.
easier to get it and find out. I mean, I think
Yes, do
ultimately for
research.
strata owners, it's good to be transparent and provide the data as well, because
Yes.
then you're encouraged to be transparent and to make sure you
Hmm.
are fully funded and you are,
Maintaining.
maintaining. You do have money put aside for your roof that needs to be replaced, right? I mean, I think those, um, yeah, things will ultimately be positive.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's going to take some time to get there, I'm sure.
Yes, and we do have some other questions from the viewers there. If you can just look in the side panel
Yeah.
there on.
Yeah. How often is data updated? So we update it multiple times a day. So, during the
Well.
week, sales are updated every few hours.
Hmm.
Same with new listings. So, if you're looking at sales statistics, like we've already done the sales statistics for Vancouver for March. So probably Monday or Tuesday, the real estate board will release their statistics. But if you go on our site, you can get them now, right? We usually
Hmm.
update them at midnight on the 31st. Um,
Good tip.
Yeah, one of the things. So foreclosures, like some of the data that we get, we have to scrape it, so we don't actually get a feed from the real estate board.
Yes.
So foreclosures we update weekly, so you kind of have to check those every week, because sometimes new listings, if they are foreclosures, they don't immediately show up as foreclosures. But that's one of the things we download the hard way.
Yes. Or people can contact the realtor, I guess, if they see something that they are interested in, and the realtor can then do a poll to see if it's new. Like if it has any updates, would that help? Or
So say that again, like
for the foreclosures on your site, right? That you said it takes about a week,
well,
differential time.
well, it's just that it takes a bit. Essentially, for us to find a foreclosure, we have to search all the active listings for a certain data set, right? So we're looking for something that is a court-ordered sale. So the seller's interest is a court-ordered sale. So most of our data, all of our data comes from the real estate board, but they only give us certain inputs. Other inputs we have to go in and manually get.
Yes.
So the feed we get for foreclosures, we have to go in and manually download it. So.
Yes, but if somebody wanted to find out if a foreclosure was still available, they have to then contact their realtor, right, to get the updated info for the realtor to find. Okay, good.
Yeah, because a lot of times foreclosures, you're sometimes they'll have an accepted offer with a court date pending, right? So that information might have to come from a realtor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there more for investors, speculators, or can strata owners utilize this for some comparable strata info? Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think comparing other buildings with similar amenities is something that owners can use it for. I mean, part of the reason we included the maintenance fee per square foot information is, in Seashell, where my company's located, I've been to AGMs where, Strata Council was looking at a budget, and they are saying, how do we compare with other properties? How are our strata fees? Because I think part of maintaining your building is also marketing your building. So if you want, you want people to know that you're doing a good job. So you want to record that in your minutes. But I think, you also don't want to get to a point where you're pricing yourself out of the market, right? So if your strata fees are, $200 more per month than a similar unit, why is that, right? You need to explain it. So, if you're curious, it doesn't matter if it's a townhouse in Coquitlam or an apartment downtown, if you click on a property, you can see what their strata fees are per square foot compared to yours. Just lets you know where you are in the market. Somebody's asking, Zealty is such a great resource. How do we support you as a company? So, I mean, Zealty has advertising on it, so that's kind of how we pay some of the bills. I think, our goal for Zealty right now is to just grow eyeballs at it. We do quite well as far as number of visitors per month. I think our goal more to monetize it is, we're kind of trying to grow it, increase the usability, increase the traffic on the site. Our goal is to add other real estate boards in BC, and then hopefully get more strata properties throughout BC. And we are kind of focused on BC, even though we have data across Canada. Really, in BC, we've got the property grid for the province. We have good assessment data for most of the province. And so definitely we're BC focused. So, I mean, I think just, keep using the site is the best way to support us. Another question, will Zealty one day include all BC registered stratas? Is there a way to know what a strata corporation is valued at rather than just strata lots? That's interesting. Is there an accessible central source for a complete picture of all existing BC stratas? Those are good questions. I think, if we can, our goal is to get other board data, so that I think once we can do that and incorporate the rest of the province, it's becoming easier because real estate boards are now sharing some data. So Vancouver Island Real Estate Board has now partnered with the Victoria Real Estate Board. So getting data for all of Vancouver Island is not going to be too difficult. Something we've been talking about it for quite a while, but I think we are going to add that hopefully in the next few months. Similar with the interior now, it used to be more segregated, but now it's the real estate boards, North and South Okanagan, and also the Kootenay board are sharing data and sharing the same server. So essentially by joining one of each of those boards, we should be able to get 90% of the province.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what we'd like to do. Yeah. Costs money to join boards though, right? And it's a bit, it's a bit tricky, but that is what we would ultimately like to do. Is there a central source for all BC stratas? I don't know that there is. I think, BC Assessment has individual strata properties. So it has every, property ID in the province. I think we've got sort of every property ID for the Lower Mainland. BC Assessment has data, but they also sell their data. So they don't want to give it out in bulk, which is what we want to do. So
yes,
we've butted heads with them a few times, trying to get access to more of their data. We would like to see one spot where you could go and get all this information, but I don't know what other resource there is out there to find it. I think some of the companies presenting here probably have a lot of data that would be great if it was publicly accessible, but I think it's still going to take time before that happens. And a question: if you see something that's incorrect, yes, send me an email. One of the things, like looking at because we're getting board data, if realtors enter information incorrectly on our site, which happens quite frequently, we will have the wrong data, and that can actually, if a company, strata changes management companies, will have the management company from the last listing. A lot of realtors just go to the last listing and copy and paste the management company. So, making sure you have the right data is very important. It's also, I was looking at, there's that new oddly shaped building downtown. I always mess the name of it up. Kango Kuma, or is that what it is? Do you know what it is, Ryan? You know the one?
No, I know the one you're talking about, but I don't know what it's called.
So, I was looking at the listings in that building, and there's a lot of them. And they're all assignment of contract sales because, nobody's taken possession yet, right? So there's about 40 units in there where people have pre-purchased, a development condo. But if you look at the listings on Paragon, only about half of the agents have entered them correctly as assignment of contracts. So I think for agents, it's important to, make sure you do enter that data correctly. Make sure you do have the updated bylaws for the Strata Corporation. Usually they're correct as far as, what's the maintenance fee, what's the strata fee. So usually that number is fairly accurate. But it can also change in that if somebody has an AGM and the strata fees go up 30%, does the listing agent update their listing? Not necessarily, right? So always, for our site, definitely you have to verify with a realtor and with the actual strata documents that the information is correct. So.
Awesome. It looks like that's all the questions that came in for now. And that was a really great presentation. I learned a lot of new cool things I can, take advantage of to, do my research and compare my building to others, which is really great. So we really love, what you've done with Zealty, and, hope you continue to keep growing it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks very much, Ryan.
Yes, and go enjoy the rest of your vacation.
I am. I'm going to go to the hot tub now.
Yeah. All right. Take care, Adam.
All right. Thank you.